What up? What up? Um, I don't know. This reaction kind of looks, yeah. Like it's already like folded. I don't know. It don't look all that good. It's above prior day high, but you know, yeah. This is whatever. It could be worse, I guess. Maybe. Right? It could be worse. It's not. It's not the best, but it could be worse. What did they even say? Like, what was it? 2.8. So basically, a little underestimate. So you're like at prior day high, right? So I suppose the main idea is if we hold, right? If we hold prior day high, I'd probably want this to build out for some time, but yeah, like right now I don't see anything. ES has already gave back most of the move. Yeah, that don't look too good. I might not. Today might be a day to avoid. Honestly, I don't know. ES looks like shit. YM's super weak. Yeah, that'd be your line in the sand for sure. Just looking at the prior day range, holding above would be nice. The other assets are so weak that it's just like, I don't know about this. YM is basically at the opening price. Like, this don't seem too bullish to me at all. Like, what the fuck? It seems like very weak. Yeah, it really doesn't look too hot. Yeah, so with a market like this, I mean, what do we have? We just have a rally in the downtrend. Wow, great stuff. You know, it just swept out this high. So what does that really mean? Maybe we hold above, right? Prior to how would be the line in the sand. But yeah, I don't think any immediate, actions required. It's not really a trade I would take right here either way. Yeah, YM tested the opening price. ES is almost there. NQ is the majority of the way there. So this is not really this isn't the scenario I wanted to see for sure. I would rather it have gone lower rather than just like rally. Like this is kind of an embarrassing candle. So, maybe we can dig deeper back into the range. It's midnight open, 9:30. Yeah, look at these other markets. ES rejecting the daily fair value gap. You have the data high up here. Usually it's the case when, you see a rally to one side, especially on CPI. It'll probably give back this data low at some point. Because at this point we could have just swung it overnight and then we would have been fine. We could have just bought this last night, you know, and then we'd have been fine. So you use this time right here to gather the data based on what happened. Price moved higher. Are we going to hold prior day high? I think that's a really simple game plan. Volatility is somewhat decent. I wonder if maybe now we run for the data. I wonder if it's going to happen early. I'm going to personally just wait. I'll just wait until the open, honestly. It's very rare that a setup happens before the 9:30 open for me on CPI or NFP. You know, maybe there's a trade, but just I don't really care. It fails so often that I don't really need to take a trade here. So we saw a reaction higher on the news. I think that's the important thing to kind of keep in mind. And we just kind of cycle through the assets. So YM, super weak. Super weak. So yeah, this big data candle gave it all the way back. ES is somewhere in the middle, right? Big rejection prior day high. Daily fair value gap. So big downtrend, small rally. That's kind of what we're seeing. We don't necessarily need to be the most aggressive buyers are here. And then NQ is the strongest of the three today. But again, it's still just in a downtrend, right? You have this hourly level right here. I think if we get above this hourly level, it'd be good to see. You also have another one right above it. So with all those things, you know, kind of lined up, I'm not trying to be super aggressive in any trades. Not right now. We're into resistance. Like we've already rallied up into resistance. Maybe it needs to sweep lower one last time before the open. We'll see. But the idea is if you took, realistically, any of these trades, maybe you bought here and went lower. Maybe you bought here and went lower. Like it's happened like 3 or 4 times. So the question is, would buying here be the right idea, or is it going to dip lower then go? So just kind of thinking how this is going to play out is going to be super important. Because what would be the point of just buying right here if it's going to just dip? I'd rather wait for a stronger signal. I will say the overall not looking great. Could definitely be better. Ideally, this would have been some sort of displacement lower. Then you would have been able to run for the upside targets. But right now, I mean, it could still be bullish, I suppose. I mean, it's not a bad idea that we're breaking above prior day high. You'd have targets back up here at some point. I don't know if this would be today. Yeah, but I would basically say continuation. Continuation is a trade I would look for, right? So something to hold this level and then maybe run for the highs up here, maybe this gap. Up here, maybe 900. But I don't necessarily want to take this trade right here. I'll just wait for the open. Because my thoughts are we can, maybe consolidate, maybe we rally, but the open could just wick lower, stop this, and then run. So we do got some time. At 9:30 or, specifically around 10 a.m. Eastern, we'll have the hourly close. So this hourly candle, if we close above prior day high on the hourly candle, we can potentially expect, let's just say we do this, potentially close near the highs, and then the next candle can dip down. So maybe there's going to be an entry around 10:30 Eastern. I would want to see how that holds, right? Because I don't necessarily think we just buy right here and it just goes up immediately. I think maybe this candle closes somewhere in this range, and then the next candle will create a wick. Yeah, you just got to kind of just kind of think it out. See what game is going to be played. But it kind of just chops down right here, and then chops back up the same way. No, I don't think any of this entry or like anything here would be an easy entry. So I would say the rough game plan, I'll write it out too. Rough game plan is probably continuation. In days like this, price will move around a lot, but it won't really do much. So that's an important thing to remember. Yeah, we got the 9 a.m. candle close or the 8 a.m. candle close. So this is a good start. We did close above prior day high so far. If we could create a little narrow candle right here, then we could potentially look for, let's see, a little dip below it for it to hold and then rally. So I think the more time this can stay above here, the better. The more structure could build out, but I don't think this is the candle right here, this 9 a.m. candle. I don't think it immediately needs to go higher. It can, sure. But I think it would almost be better for it to go sideways a little bit. Yeah, the 15-minute candles are just consolidating. So we're inside this wick. That's going to be something we'll watch. Just looking right here at this giant wick. Right now we're about midpoint of that. So measuring that out, you see it right here. %50 of this wick from the high to the low. I would say definitely, I think more bullish right here than bearish, just on the lower time frame, at least what we're going to be able to look for a trade. But yeah, that all depends if we hold above prior day high. If we fail prior day high, then obviously we're going to trade back into the range, and then there's downside levels. But yeah, as it currently stands, I'm thinking some sort of continuation. Just kind of cycle the time frames, but 27 minutes till the open. I like when CPI kind of develops slowly. I don't like when it's just immediately like, oh, you need to get into a trade. It's better just to watch this thing. It's a very volatile day. There's a lot of people worried about what's going on right now. Just let it build something out, and then the easy setup will be it'll be very obvious. You typically don't have to force a good trade. It'll kind of just fall into your lap. So until I see something, of that sort, I'm not going to rush it. So you're starting to see some strength right here. So we swept out this low. I guess actually we did create a little gap right here. We got that, that, and we did tap into it on the 5-minute. Between there. Let's see. Yeah, very small gap, but we did tap into it. I don't think this is a reason to get into a trade. The candle closed pretty weak. It'd have been better if this closed near the highs, because then, that might have actually been a good trigger. But right now, still nothing. This is just rounding out. Like if you look at the price action, it goes up. It's kind of rounding so far. There's the 15 again. What we can do is gather info, observe how it's acting, because we know the levels. We got levels to reference. None of the 5 minute charts, none of the 1 minute charts look all that great. So again, like I was saying, we're just rounding out. Pull the 5 minute. You see, it's not necessarily rejecting all the way, but it doesn't look super strong. It just pushed higher into this, into this 50% that we talked about. And you just see it holding here so far. It doesn't mean that it's gonna sell all the way off. It doesn't mean anything at all. This is what I'm observing so far. And if you look at the other assets, very weak YM, very weak ES. I don't think it necessarily has to stay weak. Like maybe we could see some strength into the open, but right now, I don't see a reason to get involved. It's not super high probability right here. At best, it would be, like a hope that this trades higher, but I don't have a clear indication that we will just yet. If you want to make trading really easy for yourself, just trade when there's very, very clear signals. Most of the losses you'll take, it's because you're hoping it looks like something, you want it to be something, or you want to catch the biggest move. I'd rather catch the most likely move, something that's probably going to happen, not some hope and a prayer, not some, like delusion. I just want to catch something that's easy, an easy trade. Easy trades tend to work. They're easy because our brain recognizes patterns and we understand, okay, if we see this, that, and the other, these three things or whatever it might be, then you can align with that move. But right now, there's no point. This would just be buying into a resistance level. Yeah, if everybody just focused on catching the easiest trade, I'll show you exactly what it's going to look like. The easiest trade will be something like this. You'll see it build all this, right? And then it'll probably just stab below it at some point. And then it'll probably go up real high. And then that rally will look like, give you one of these to buy, and then you target something higher, maybe that area. But this right here is a consolidation. I don't enter in a consolidation. I wait for something in the consolidation to be manipulated, and then I look for an entry that goes maybe the opposite way. But this is not a trade I want to take. So again, the 5 minute, like we've been saying, we're starting to see it round out. It could hold, sure. And that's not the point. It's not the point to say, oh, it's going to fail right here. We're just observing price action. So the more detail we can see about this open, anytime there's news like this, you want to see how it develops because this structure right here is going to determine the trade that we see into the open. This right here, all of this. This is the context. So you can go back, go through charts, use some sort of back testing. Most of the time, like 99% of the time, I was telling Drew, I've been telling everybody, majority of the time there will not be an entry right here between 8:30 and 9:30. But you just still watch it, When there's big news like this, you never necessarily know, but the majority of the time you're better off waiting. You don't get brownie points for being in first. It really doesn't matter. You get paid for taking good trades, not being the first one in. If entering early got you something, then like all the impatient people would do well. Oh, I entered first. Okay, you're probably going to lose first. It's not what it's about. It's about finding the best trade. So, mind you, anyone who was in here, we were talking about this, I said, yeah, I don't want to take this trade. It just went sideways for like 23, 24 minutes. And now it's dipping below and probably stopped them out. You know, now we're starting to see some structure. If this can hold as a higher low, then maybe we can start to look for a trade. When you're trading data, this is data high where there's this giant wick. This is always going to be like your eyes should draw to this. You should be looking right here. That's always going to be significant. But it doesn't mean you have to enter right here. Oh wow, it held. That's it. Like that's the only signature you can see. It's a range. I don't have data that tells me buying in a range works well. I can think back to the majority of the losses I took when I was first starting, and it's just buying in this bullshit. There's, you learn how to read these charts so you can actually use that. You don't just enter because, oh, it's at a price level. It's like, no, you want a strong signal. How do I know that this is immediately going to move in my favor? I have no idea. What are ways that you can kind of identify that? If there's strong price action candles, right? If there's some sort of long bottom tail. So if it forms some sort of, let's see, maybe a little body right here and then a long tail, maybe it kind of consolidates, forms that, then, kind of creates that. That would be better. But right now it's just sell. So it's rounding out at that level that we talked about. And I'll make this a little bigger so you guys can see. Whenever you see a wick, especially a long wick. So this is a long wick on the 5 minute. Why is it down there? Let me adjust this. I don't know how that happened. Oh, I see what I'm doing. Okay. Interesting. Had on the wrong price. Okay, so much weaker. It's rejecting the 25%. So you can use quarters on these wicks. I don't know how I got it there. Maybe it was a 30-second or something I anchored it on. Weird. Maybe I moved it. Either way, it's still rounding out at the 25%. This is anytime you see a long wick, you just mark out these quarter marks on the wick. So those quarter marks are areas where it might struggle. It might reverse there. It might consolidate sideways, and then it might go to the next one. So it's really just looking at that as a potential hurdle. It doesn't mean that it has to fail, but there's tendencies that will repeat with these types of setups. I think the game plan would be, let's look at it. We have this internal low. That seems like an area where it could sweep. Okay, now you're starting to see it hold that prior day high a little bit better. It's like pretty much right there. There's your 2 minute, your 5 minute chart. So this 2 minute, you can see a little indication here. This entry would be, in my opinion, this one would be a little bit better than this initial one. But again, it's still not really enough that makes me confident in the trade. I don't need to take it right now. I can just wait. Patience is really going to be it's the only thing that keeps you from taking shitty trades, honestly, just being patient, because not every setup is going to be, clear. Like, if you enter on setups that don't have clarity, you're just going to be wasting your time. Honestly, there's better uses of your time than just entering random. So even though it looked good, right, initially, you see that this candle closed super weak. Change the outlook on that. So that's another thing too. You definitely want to wait for candle closures on all time frames, because if it doesn't close with that, that strong closure, it has a different meaning. They always say be careful on days like CPI, just because, traders really do some damage. How many losses could you take in this action? I would say a lot, because it's just up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down on the 1 minute chart. And these are big candles, 20 points per candle. So even with the small contracts, one candle is $40. None of this tells me we're going to go one way for sure. And that's what you want when you get in a trade. You want to be sure that it's going to move one direction, not just back and forth, because this is bullshit. This isn't going to help you make money. It'll stop you out. You move your stop, you go break even, you flip it, you lose. Too much of a headache. It's easier just to wait. And the sad part is it's always been that way. You go back into any old trading books, read some stuff from Jesse Livermore from the 1920s. He says people fucking lose money just because they can't wait. It's you're taking money from impatient people. That's what patient traders do. The only way this works, though, it's ultimately people will lose money today. It's because they're impatient. Maybe they try to short, and that's what makes the trades that we'll take work in our favor if there's enough reasons for it to do so. It is starting to look good, though. I will say that. It's starting to, right? The more it builds out sideways, the more consolidation we see. That's awesome. You wanted to do this. We got 8 minutes left. If we can see a little bit of a dip into this level, that would be ideal. Like right down to here. Boom. A little bit of a dip, and then you rally, reclaim prior day high to target data highs, and then probably this 800 level. That would be a really nice trade. So I'm gonna plan on that. I want to see this get ran into the open for it to continue through here. And I'll look to take, if it gives a dip, I'll look to take one entry on that flip of those down candles. So that's my rough game plan. It's hard to have that game plan right here. Once you're right here, you can start to see it a little bit better. So that's why I say you have to gather data. If I wake up right here, I have no idea what's going on. But since I've been watching it since, since right here, watch it go up, watch it chop, 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 chop. I say, okay, this would be such an easy level to sweep into the open. Look for the entry around here. So my entry might be around 680 after I see the dip, if I can see that. So that would be confluence 1. And then once you get above those down candles, that would be confluence 2. And my target would just be up here, right? And then if it gives you some sort of higher low, that might be an easy spot to add. So I might add 1 position and then target 800. So if I could be in 680 to 700 with 2 contracts up to 800, so I can make $500 on that if I want. If it works in my favor, that's kind of what I'm thinking. We'll see though, right? Market can have different plans. That's my rough estimate of what's going to go on after seeing this same type of action develop, I don't know, countless times at this point. I would hope for something like that to be just more than reasonable, right? I think it's a reasonable trade. Six minutes. Let's see what happens. There's no reason to rush. Just because, you might have hopes and dreams or whatever making money. I mean, it is possible there is no setup, right? We can hope for one. We can expect one. We can kind of loosely plan for one. But it doesn't mean that there has to be. So when you think that, oh, I need to be in the market, unless you see your entry, unless you see something that is something you've tested or something you've seen happen at least, I don't know, more than once, it's normally not going to be your best idea to say, hey, let me risk money on something that I've never seen happen. Because if you haven't seen it happen, how do you literally know it's going to happen? And then more importantly, how do you know how much to risk if you haven't seen it work out before? So there's just a bunch of different ways to kind of look at the same thing. The idea is take the obvious trade and avoid anything else that will just lead to a potential loss. I honestly believe even if this thing kind of rallies a little bit, it could even peak above here. It might still slam down. I've seen that happen. So I'm pretty sure this area is going to be traded back to. So I'm not even worried if it like goes right here. And if for whatever reason this thing does take off, then so be it. I can always wait for it to hold a little bit and then find the entry. I don't need to be in right here because right here, it's like, cool, maybe it goes to here. That's not really what I want. I don't want it to just right here. I'd rather get something that has a little more structure to it where I can trade it back to the 800. But I'm never going to be like, oh no, this candle moved. And I feel all jittery about it. Candles are supposed to move. They will look like something and then they'll close completely different. So it's really important to remember that these things they play tricks with your mind. You see what you want to see if you're not telling yourself like there will be another trade. So just about 3 minutes till the open. When we see the market open, obviously there's going to be more volatility coming in. Tape will start moving faster. So play it calm, play it collected. Keep your head, stay level-headed. All right, 2 minutes. 2 minutes till the open. See how that one candle just pushed up and then immediately gave it back? You know, you have to be mindful of stuff like that. It's like, oh, I need to buy it, and then it'll just delete it really quick. If a candle could flutter and just kind of move one direction and it makes a lot of people buy it, and then it can easily erase it, understand that's a trap. Like that stuff is going to exist because if, let's just say, I'm some big shot on the market. If I could run this candle up, make people think, oh, I need to get in before I miss it, and then I could just stop them out for 30 points immediately, like that's free money. That is free money. All right, 1 minute. 1 minute. So we know our level of interest, we know our targets, we know the framework we're looking for. We're staying patient. It's as simple as that. You have 40 seconds. See what the 15 looks like. 15 looks whatever. So we'll see if we trade back into 642. All right, now we're stabbing lower. Right now, my focus is also I'm watching to see how ES is performing as well as YM on a different monitor. I want to see how those markets are moving as well. So if I see any sort of early indication in one of them, then obviously it gives me a sign for what I can be able to expect to potentially happen in NQ that I'm going to be trading. I don't want to see either of these things just like falling off a cliff or rallying all crazy, because ultimately it's going to affect my game plan. So I feel like my plan is super simple. I'm looking for it to pull back into a certain level. And if for whatever reason I can't get that and I don't see an entry signature, I'm going to just go ahead and say, hey, that's fine. I don't need a trade today. I need to not do anything dumb. Like if I take a bad trade, that'll just frustrate me. Like there's no way that I need to take a bad trade. I'd rather just focus on something that makes sense. So initial candle, doji, and you get this little break. So is this a trade potentially to that? But I'll just wait. Let's watch the candles. We know the price levels we're looking for. So ES is really strong, with the candle at least. YM's picking up a little. So let's see, what did we do? Did we sweep out these? Okay, we swept out these local highs right here on the 1 minute. If you want to zoom in, just these right here. We swept above this so far. So the question would be, if we hold below this, right, then it's likely for us to trade back lower. But if we're able to just maintain that momentum, the easy target is 788. Okay, YM folded, NQ strong. Let's see what ES does. It's like one framework you can use for this. You know, if you want to look at this initial candle, you have that high and that low. You could buy the break of this high and have your stop at the low and target that wick up here. That's completely reasonable. However, I just don't want to do that. I'll be watching to see if we get something that just fits my setup a little better. It's just always been my experience. It's a little bit better just to get, like, be picky. Be picky with the setup you want on, especially days like this. Today is not meant to be easy for anybody. Today is meant to take everybody's money, honestly. That's like why big data days exist. Five-minute has almost no bottom wick, so I'd be watching this as well. Whenever you don't see, like, when you see like a very tiny bottom wick on like NQ, for example, it will almost always kind of flip back. Even if it doesn't close bearish, it'll almost always dig back for that very just weak bottom wick. Like, you'll notice almost every candle has a bottom wick or top, right? So this doesn't have the bottom, so it's likely that it gets revisited. In my experience, that's an extremely common thing to expect. I would not be surprised if we created this bottom wick. So with 4 minutes left, especially, yeah, we topped right here. I would think it'd be likely to trade back lower, and I'll say that as well. In addition to just looking at YM, see how weak YM is. So with that being said, it's like it's not unreasonable to expect the other markets to kind of follow through. Yeah, ES isn't necessarily that strong either. So is it possible that NQ holds up by itself? Sure, that's possible. But when you start to see multiple markets moving like lower or just hesitating, that's an indication that maybe your market's not going to hold as easily, or it might just genuinely follow lower as well. So you got to remember, everybody has the same data. Everyone has these same charts, but not everyone has the same perception or same interpretation of this stuff. That comes through experience. That comes through testing your setups. You know, that ultimately comes from losing money on days like this a lot, for you to know that, hey, you know what? I'm going to be very particular with what I want, because I'd rather have all of the things working in my favor rather than just one or two hopes and wishes that it's going to go higher. You know, like, all the people who are just newer to this, they'll be saying, oh, this has to just go. It's like right there. Why can't it go? It could come back for that in 2 hours. You know, it doesn't have to happen right now. It doesn't have to happen on your timeline. It doesn't have to happen with your lack of like structure, right? Just because you want it to go there, just because your order is placed there, doesn't mean it will go there. I wish it was true, but if your order is placed there, it has no influence on where price is going to go. So we see, yeah, the upper quarter mark, right? And there you go. That is the formation of that bottom wick, like I said. What did I say? I said this thing right here, this 5-minute candle, is extremely likely to fold over. And that's exactly what we're seeing right here with this action. ES made new low of day for the New York session at least. YM is in the trenches. Like YM is weak. Look how weak we are on YM. It's kind of impressive. Such garbage. Look, YM's about to flip bearish on the day. Not a good look. Not a good look. Yeah, YM's at midnight open. So I'd have alerts under that level, 477 for YM. You'd want to know if it flips bearish. NQ is pushing back higher again. And then ES just wicked under the 1 minute low. Let's see, man, my phone blown up. That's a good one. That's nice. So yeah, there you go. MES flipping. It wicked below. So maybe you know what? Fuck. So see how this made this lower low, and then you have NQ making the higher low, MNQ. Right here. Look. So this might be an SMT at the lows. So this thing might be ready to move higher. Fuck. Let's see. There's just no entry for me. I'm not going to just jump in because it might just move without me. I'm gonna have to accept that reality because yeah, ES made the lower low and then NQ made the higher low. So we have the swing point right here, swing point formation, 1, 2, 3, these candles. And then same thing right here, 1, 2, 3, boom, boom. So this higher low is not there on ES. On ES, it's a lower low. So it went here, and then it went lower, then it went higher. So with that being said, that's an indication that this might be ready to move higher. However, when there is no entry signal for me, and just because we're like right there, target is not an entry signal, unfortunately. Target is an exit location. So I have to wait. I have to wait for this to develop more. That 5-minute candle created that wick. It invalidated any sort of long in there. Now we have an inside candle. Do we flip this? It's just not a trade I can take. Unfortunately, there's nothing there for me. NQ, yeah, NQ pushing lower a little bit. So it's a good spot just to be patient. So we're 10 minutes into the market and we haven't had an opportunity that we can execute on. I think this is a good example of what I mean when you have to be patient. I'm expecting, and I said this earlier, it might take up until 10:30 to see some sort of entry. I won't wait past that. Fuck that. I got shit to do. But I mean, another hour at most to look for an entry. I just can't do anything here. So the better, if you want to do well with this and be consistent, just be very defined in what you do. Because if you just will take an entry at any location, any reasoning, it's going to be stressful because you're not going to have consistent results because there's no consistent process. It's not a bad structure because if we do form, like if this happens to hold as a high, which I'm not saying it will or won't, but if it happens to, now these highs are really close together. So if we do trade lower, then this becomes a magnet, because there's So shorts getting short right here. You know, people have their stops above those points like that. And then you have this data. So if this holds, we'll see. If it displaces lower, this would be my focus for later into the day with that 800. So highly structured setups are going to be better because I'm going to be able to put more size into it because I'm going to have a much more defined stop loss. Like it's going to be based on a couple candles with this opening trade, right? If we just took an entry here, and like I was telling you, you can do that, but you'd probably only make from, 716 to, I don't know, you're probably going to stop at like 731. Honestly, it's not worth it. So there you go. Look, rounding out, no setup. It's a telltale sign that we're not going to have a trade if there's no entry reasoning. There's ES pushing the lows. We're now below the data, low on ES. So, for the 1 minute candle that made that data, that like the displacement, you just mark that out, right? Data low. Anytime there's a big, news driver, that's going to be a very common target, whether it's the high or the low. So you have the data high up here as well. MES is just the weaker one. Now see what we're doing. We're digging lower. So if this takes a minute to get to that, let's see, 642, that's all right. Just let it work. Because if I'm looking at the 5 minute now, let's see, get the 5 minute right here. If I'm looking at this 5 minute candle, I see that this swept, or not swept, but it formed a high. This formed a high and you have a big candle right here. I don't need to be in this next candle. Because what's this next candle going to do? Rally a little bit, maybe go halfway, and then flip? I think I'm okay. So it's it'll probably rally just to like right there. And then you have all of this. I don't think this is getting left behind. I think it's going to run below here. I would be very surprised if this right here held and then it just pushed that high. That's not a trade for me, really. The 15 looks, I'd say, pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeah, pretty crazy on the 15. You have, there is a chance that this inversion right here holds this little gap, but I don't want to engage it. I don't have enough, I don't have a strong enough signal for it. So look at the 15 again. This one right here has no bottom wick. And I think it'll be the same on the 5. Yeah, the 5 has no bottom wick. So that's potentially an indication it's going to trade lower again, like I was saying a second ago. Just be picky. Be picky with your setups. I don't see anything super clear. And trust me, I'm looking. Whenever I tell people, I'm like, I don't see a setup, it's not because I don't want to trade it. It's because I don't see a setup. So yeah, right here, let's see that candle flip. So zoom in for you. That candle right there. You want to see that low break. For somebody, sure, this is probably a short signal. It's just that's not a trade I really like to take. But I can see how that would work, Fuck, probably even just this, You could get short under prior day high for a target down here. Like, why not? Why wouldn't that work? It's just not my trade. Let's clean these levels up a little. Gotta mostly keep my levels on my left chart. It formed a little bit of a bottom wick on the 5-minute, but I think it's going to completely flip right here, like we're starting to see. So and then you get that big push back to that same level we've been talking about all morning, 642. So once we get into here, now we can start looking for a potential trade. Obviously evaluate the different time frames. It doesn't look terrible. Now you're into the 642, like we said. Doesn't look terrible on the 15. You got those relatively equal highs, but I'm not going to be the first person in this trade. That is for sure. I guarantee that. I'll gladly wait, get some more information. But yeah, it's nothing magic about this. There's just a sequence to things. So if you see a level like this, like we talked about, that will normally get ran into at the open, you can anticipate that kind of thing. If you see it happen enough times, you get like a sixth sense for what's likely to occur. That's a bummer. What'd you have? What was the stop on it? You just size up again or something on data? So now you're starting to see an inversion. But there's no bottom wick, Maybe this fucking works. That bottom wick, I mean, we have the 5-minute wick before it. I think that's all right. But I'm still hesitant because of that factor right there. Just the no bottom wick. Otherwise, it looks relatively decent. You just would hope it'd make it a little cleaner for you. Let's let it close. Let the candle close. Hopefully it doesn't run too far without us. I'll wait for the candle closure. I don't want to get in and then it flips on me. I mean, that might be the problem. It's like, yeah. It wouldn't have hit your sub, yeah. But I mean, even then, why position in a way where, like, unless you're really close to recovering everything, or at least what you think is everything, right? It's not everything, it's just what you had before. That's not everything. Yeah. Yep. That's the big difference. Maybe you see a setup, right? Like you could see the setup, but you'll hesitate because you haven't taken that type of trade enough times, or you don't have the information on it to say that, yeah, this is a really, really, really good trade. So that's where hesitation comes from. It's like you just don't have the info on it. Yeah, but I mean, you don't necessarily get to your peak drawdown in one or two trades, so it should never be the goal to recover it really, really quick, because it puts so much mental stress on you. Obviously, it's important to you. That's why you're trying to make it back, but just patience with those things. You typically want to move slower in drawdown and then faster when profits are like increasing. We'll just try this. Hopefully we don't get wicked out. It looked like I was going to invert. If I get, yeah, okay. So one loss right there. What a joke. Wow. I really thought that was ready to go. Wow. I just got joked. Okay. Well, we'll look for another entry at some point. That's kind of funny. I really thought I was being like patient. I'm like, you know what? This is good. This is good. Then it gives me immediate momentum. Take it. And then it's just like, no, I was waiting for you. I was just trying to see if you take the bait. I am really surprised that happened. That's funny. But hey, I mean, that is trading. Sometimes, wow, what a joke. It literally just put on a big ass wick on all three indices. Look at this. Check this out. MES right there, a giant wick. Guaranteed Trump said some shit. Somebody go get his phone. We're done with this. I want to take it again, but no, I can't do it. There's no way it just wicked me out like that. What a joke. $70, whatever. What the fuck? Yeah, literally. You wanted to sell. That's what you have for trying to be the first mouse in the house. Yep. Yep. First mouse gets the the rat trap, the mouse trap, right? They don't get the cheese. What a joke. It's just not funny. I'm the punchline right now. Like I'm like, yeah, there's no way it's just gonna invert again and then just fold. But it's fine. Huh. Important thing is you just set your limits. You set how much you're willing to risk on the day. I didn't go into that with any crazy size, of course. That's $70 or whatever. That's perfectly fine. Based on this volatility, that's fine. But yeah, what the fuck? What was that? Let me go check Twitter real quick. We got 6 minutes till the 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. Eastern. Ideally, that's where we see some sort of low form. The 15, yeah. I mean, we're in a good area. We're in a good area. We just need a better signal. I thought the signal worked fine, but yeah, what a joke. It's actually kind of insane. It's never really the loss that like bothers you. It's usually how it happens. You're just like, what was that? Yeah, nothing. Some volatility. Anyways, well, now we're gonna potentially form a better setup on the 5 minute if we can, flip this candle again. You'd be looking for, this to hold. But if not, it could just fill the gap, right? It can go all the way to the data low. So I have the data low annotated. Get rid of this level. Actually pretty funny. Let's see what the 15 looks like. Yeah, let's get this 15-minute candle to close. Ideally above that level. Yeah. Ideally above the 642. And I mean, if anyone in here, that's literally why I say, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, that wick was something else. The wick was something else. It got you, got me in, and then stopped me out. What a joke. What a joke. Yeah, a lot of people have felt that one. I know that for sure. I've been good. Yeah, I've been good, Sebastian. I've been good. You've been busy with work. It's probably best, right? Stay off these charts. There's not really wicked on your short. Yeah, yeah. Everybody got shot in the head on that move. Internal SMT. Yeah. All right. So NQ is now at VWAP and at the data low. Wow, it really just wicked in to just take everybody out of the trade. It's like, yeah, I saw the short. I saw the short for sure. Two. You bought two. Yeah, someone snitched. I got in the trade and then got shot in the head. So this is not like good structure overall. Not my favorite. Yeah, we're just gonna watch to see how this develops. Ideally, we get a 5 minute close above here. Start looking for some. No, there's nothing on the 30-second. That's so funny, that wick. The cool thing too about the chat is you can see when everybody's like, oh yeah, no, that got me. Kind of glad I didn't take the short, because if that thing saw me out, I would have been annoyed. One minute till the 5-minute candle closure, right? So watch that. Hourly candle does not look fantastic. I've definitely seen better. Yeah, no, I mean, you definitely should have moved your stop. I think so, at least. So what would this stop be? $100. I think I'm going to be looking for an entry at 10 a.m. for the long. Honestly, I think I want to see it hold above this level, this low, maybe run towards this, right? I think that's the idea, to trade back towards 800. I want to get in. I just don't want to rush the entry. I think this is the trade I want, though. I think this is the trade I want, to target 800. See how we close. If we flip, I'll be watching it. So meaning we flip the opening price. See how there's no bottom top wick on this 5-minute candle and this 1-minute candle at 10 a.m. If we can flip this, I think I'll use the low of this candle right here, right? Like ideally, that would be my trade if we flip it. If not, I'll remove the order. So this for 800. This will be my trade, and then I'll have my stop right here. So if I want to do the risk reward on this, kind of give you an idea, I'll be looking entry at 650 there, then target 800. Potentially be decent. This candle closure wasn't that great, but we still have the 5-minute that we're looking at. I'll just leave it for now. I think it's fine. Yeah, keep it safe today. Play safe. Yeah, see you tomorrow, homie. Take care. All right, let's see. We'll potentially have our stop right there. Okay, cool. Stop right here at the data low, or not the data low, the candle low. So the idea is this 5-minute hammer will hold, and we have a sweep of that low. We're respecting the fair value gap. I think it could work, but if I get stopped out twice, I'm gonna just be done for the day. I'm gonna keep it low risk today. I don't necessarily want to do too much, right? So I think the logic makes sense, but I don't know if the entry signal is the best. The idea is that this would close higher, not just, fold over immediately. So we want to see this displace a little. Maybe give it like one extra tick or something. A couple extra ticks. Just in case it wicks lower. Yeah. The candle closure kind of invalidated it a little bit, but it's worth the risk. I'm going to aim to make multiples of what I'm risking. So what the fuck, 900, no, 800, $300. If this starts to validate, I can add to the position, but this is just my low risk initial entry. Idea is that it holds right here. It doesn't just fold over. We're at the bottom. It looks like it could reverse right here is the idea. But obviously if it doesn't displace, you're not going to get it. The hourly is not my favorite, so that's probably the only counter signal I would say for me. I think the 15's all right. 5-minute, could be 15 could be better. 5 minutes good. All right, so that's 0 for 2. I mean, it's only $150, but yeah, we just got to see if there's anything, you know, like this didn't hold the way I needed it to. Wow, we made this nice little hammer right here. We're respecting a fair value gap. We ran under a low. This looks like a good trade to me. Obviously, you'd want this candle to be a little bit stronger, but it's not the end of the world, right? Yeah, this hasn't, I would not say this has been a super clean day in either way, right? Like the short, it's very choppy. Like what is that? Very choppy. So I'm definitely done with the idea for now, you know, but we'll monitor it. I mean, fuck. Did it really just do that? Let's see. Let's look at this. Interesting. Just made a lower low. Huh. I don't want to try it. I don't want to try it, but we'll see. We'll go for it. Last try on this attempt. Put it right here. I don't like taking the same stop over and over. So, but if it works, then we're fine for the day, you know. The 5 minutes starting to look stronger. But if it wicks down again, it's like there's nothing I could do. I don't want to put my stop. There's nowhere I could have put my stop where I wouldn't have got hit on that first time. So, oh well. But if we cannot get immediate displacement, the trade's just dead, which is why the stop's relatively narrow. But yeah, if this stop hits, I'm definitely just going to lock this account for the day. I do not want to. I hardly want to take this trade. However, I see what it could have done. It could have just been wicking me out. It makes sense, right? Logically, it makes sense. This candle closure is a little stronger, so you'd want to see it just kind of move quick. 280 up here, yeah. It could be a decent day, right? Like this could be a decent mover. But it needs to just stop fucking around. It keeps playing jokes on everybody. Both sides, right? So now you're starting to see a little bit of displacement. Yeah, that's why it's so important to keep your head straight on, like with days like this, because the moves happen so quick. So I'm gonna trail this a little bit. Realistically, this thing, I mean, it should not come back under these bodies. I'm gonna actually be looking. I'll be watching this right here. I want to see if there's another little entry that gets provided. Not gonna lie, I'll be looking to maybe add one. I am not gonna lie. It didn't really dip the way I needed it to. I needed to pull back into this little gap, but I'm okay. I'm positioned fine. Oh, fuck. I'm positioned fine. I will fucking probably move some profit soon. See how it's kind of breaking higher? You're now testing the 930 open price. So you have 930 open right here. Annotate this. These are levels where I could reject. So at this point, I kind of need to put in profit. So annoying because I kind of need to put in profit, but if this has a weak closure, it's just going to stop me out. Then I'll be done with this. But yeah, the target is 800. So candle's closing a little bit better so far. It's pushing a little higher. So ideally, this just runs for the target now. We're in profit. The trail's in profit. So I cannot lose on this trade right here. But, you know, obviously if it doesn't move quick enough and hit my target, I'll just be down like 140 on the day. Need this to displace like quick. Yeah, a little bit of VWAP confluence as well. Worth noting. The lows. Would it be like 865 as the highs? The high of that gap? Let's see. Yeah. 860. Just looking at the higher time frame. It doesn't mean I'm going to hold it for that. I'm just I like measuring things and seeing how far it is. Ideally, just let it move quick. I want this 5-minute candle to not close with a big top wick. You know, it would be better if it closed near the high of the candle and just like ran for once. It doesn't need to kind of stop me out or come back for it to go higher. I always like to think about it that way. It doesn't need to, Because if it doesn't need to, I'm not going to really allow for it to, oh, let me just let it stop me out full stop. If it comes back and stops me out, it's probably not working, you know? But hey, I would not be surprised. It's been a weak like setup. The setup has not been great. So you have a minute 30 on this 5-minute candle. You want to be watching for how it's going to close. So ideally just push. Like 99.9% sure I'll take it off at 800. It looks all right. I mean, it's not too bad. Not too bad. Breaking above the 930 open right here. We see it starting to displace. Ideally, let's see it above the candles. See it above the candles. Yeah. Close in 1 minute on the 5-minute candle. See it rally. 800 is going to be just the easy money target for sure. Let's see. This 1 minute needs to break this little consolidation right here towards the upside ideally. Create a bottom wick on that 1 minute candle. So yeah, created that bottom wick right there. So this, ideally clear this real soon. Maybe the next candle on the 5 minute right here. We want this to close strong and then just let it displace. We're going to watch its reaction over the highs and kind of monitor it from there if we can get there. But if this setup doesn't work right here, I'm over it. I don't want to keep aiming at the same trade. Especially when it's doing like dirty stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, let's just stop like shake them out twice. There you go. 5-minute candle closes. Boom. Let's see it. I mean, it's a decent closure. It's just as long as this candle doesn't fold in half, we're fine. So I'm actually trail is just a little bit more. Maybe right here. I don't even know anymore. It's like it's either gonna just go or stop me out. We're above the 930 open, which I guess is good. Right, this entry now is up here. It's a little skewed. Okay, you got a bottom wick on the 5-minute candle. Let's just see it run. It's playing with the 930 open. Ideally, it's not forming top wicks like this, though. This does not look good. It doesn't look strong when it does stuff like that. It makes me think it's just going to die right here. And, well, I'm not going to just had to let it do its thing. It's either going to work or not. But, yeah, so stupid. Prior day high. You have prior day high right here, so it kind of needs to hold prior day high. I mean, what's the difference? There's not much I can do here. So it'll either just stop me out or work. I keep saying over and over. But yeah, super weak setup. So I'm good. I think I'm good right there. Like, what was that? What kind of joke? It gave us nothing. Like, it really did. It really did nothing for us. So I tried two. I guess that was my third entry. And it just kind of messed around with us, It saw an initial bounce, shook me out. I said, okay, let me get long down here again, based on that area. It wicked me out. And then then it worked. And I took an entry, a momentum entry above the break of this. And then it just stopped. Sometimes that's life. Sometimes trading is just not clean. Nothing about this is clean. So, yeah. I mean, we'll check. What is my risk settings at? So I have a $330 daily loss limit. I have 4 max trades per day, and it shows that I have 1 trade left for the day. With 1 trade left, it doesn't mean that I need to take it. You set those risk settings so you don't say, hey, let me just go ahead and do something stupid and risk $900, $1,000 on a trade when that's like not what you want to risk. So what I'm going to personally do is just wait. I probably won't take another trade. Based on this action, it's given me a lot of information. It said, hey, you thought that was a good trade? Just kidding. It's not. And then it gave another entry. It's like, oh, you thought that was going to work. And then it stopped me out. And then finally, it started to move and then it folded over. So this is telling me it does not want to go higher, at least right now. So I'm going to take all this information right here and say, you know what? Don't keep trying the same thing. You know, it's probably not going to work. It's probably not going to work. Just give it some time. It'll figure itself out. But right now it's just a choppy range. So yeah, that's kind of how you deal with underperforming market conditions, I guess. There's not a trade that in this action, there's not a trade that would have worked well for me because my target is going to be something like this data high right here. I'm going to be expecting this, definitely expecting this. I don't just buy right here and then just sell. I mean, obviously I took a partial or whatever, my trail stop right there. So I managed it well, but I think I risked like $80 and I made like 30 or $40 on that. So I made half an R, but the idea was to make the up to 800. So I still think that level will be traded to at some point, but for now, just kind of going to chill. Probably hop off stream in a bit. But yeah, let me know. You guys have questions? What do you guys think? How was your morning? I know a lot of people took the short. Saw the setup there, but yeah, just very messy. Yeah. Let me know any questions real quick, but we're hop off. Tired of standing. I'm gonna go sit down, chill out for a bit. There's definitely been better CPI days. Good point. Great point. So hope you guys learned something. It's always better to kind of see this stuff played out in real time rather than just like hypothetical. But you can see like, yeah, cool. I had, I guess, 2 losses and 1 partial win. It's not the end of the world. You know, $100 really doesn't really change much about anything. But the cool thing is you stay collected, you stay composed, and you can always take another trade. So, all right, guys, I'm going to hop off. I'll get this video uploaded on YouTube. Take care, everybody. Peace out.